September 19. 880. Abbategnia decided the obliquity of the ecliptic to be 23 degrees 25. 1356. Battle of Poictiers, between the English army of 12,000 men, under Edward, the Black Prince, and the French, 60,000 under King John, the utter rout of the French army and the capture of their king, who was afterwards led in triumph through the streets of London. 1471. The first book known to have been printed in the English tongue bears this date, and is entitled the Recuyell of the History of Troy, translated from the French, and printed by William Caxton, at Cologne. See October 4th. 1524. The imperialists under Pescara raised the siege of Marseilles and retired with precipitation towards Italy. 1587. James Pamelius, a learned Flemish writer, died. 1650. Stuyvesant, the Dutch governor of New-Netherland, arrived at Hartford and demanded of the commissioners for the United Colonies a full surrender of the lands on Connecticut River. After an altercation of several days, articles of agreement in relation to boundaries were settled. 1665. The number of deaths by plague in London for the week ending on this day was reported to be 10,000, the greatest weekly mortality reported during the scourge. 1678. Bernard van Galen, a Westphalian bishop and general, died. His ecclesiastical office was of minor importance with him, and he contrived to keep up a perpetual war with one state or another, so that when he died, his loss was little regretted. 1681. Desperate engagement between the Moorish vessel, the Half Moon, 32 guns, from Angier, and the English galleys James and Sapphire. Of the Turks and Moors 93 were killed. English lost 95 killed and wounded. 1693. At St. Malo 300 houses were unroofed by the blowing up of a fire vessel sent in by Captain Benbow. 1710. Ola Osremer, a Danish astronomer, died. 1736. Mrs. Mapp, the famous bone setter, of Epsom, having set up a fine equipage, came to Kensington and waited on the Queen. 1737. Göttingen University opened. 1745. The celebrated Jonathan Swift died, aged 78. 1761. Peter van Musschenbroek, a distinguished Dutch philosopher, died. 1777. Battle of Stillwater, between the British under Burgoyne and the Americans under General Gates. The action was continued with great valor on both sides during 4 hours. The Americans retired to their camp at night, with the loss of 319 killed, wounded and missing. British loss over 500. 1778. Action between American privateer Hancock and British frigate Levant, 32 guns. The Levant blew up, and only 18 of her crew were saved. 1793. The new French calendar commenced. It divided the year into 12 months of 30 days each, with 5 intercalary days, called sansculottides. 1798. Elihu H. Smith, a physician and poet, died in New York. 1803. Dutch colonies of Demerara and Essequibo surrendered to the British. 1804. George Zabira, a learned Greek, died. 1810. James Cheetham, a noted political editor, died in New York, aged 37. He was the biographer of Thomas Paine, and published The American Citizen. 1814. The boats of the British ship Forth, under the direction of Lieutenant Neville, carried by boarding and destroyed the American letter of marque Brig Regent. 5 guns and 35 men, at the mouth of Little A Harbor. 1851, Battle of Camargo, between the forces of the Mexican government and those of Carvajal, in which the latter were victorious. 1851, Frederick Whittlesey, a New York jurist, died at Rochester, aged 54. 1852, Great inundation in the valleys of the Rhine and the Rhone. 1854, the Allied forces which had landed at Old Fort, to operate against Sebastopol, commenced their march to that fortress. They consisted of 25,000 British, 25,000 French, and 8,000 Turkish troops. 1855, a terrible gale swept Lake Borgne and the Gulf Coast, causing loss of life and great destruction of property at Pass Christian, Mississippi City, Biloxi, and other points in the vicinity.